This 2010 Dodge Charger is my brand new race car. Okay, so it's not technically new, but, well, here's what happened.
A few months back, my buddy Herman, aka Demonology, hit me up and said he wanted to build a new race car for Roadkill Nights. We picked up a ratty 2010 Dodge Charger from the salvage auction, and then him and his team built it into an absolute monster of a drag car. Now, when he asked if I wanted to race the car at Roadkill Nights, naturally I said yes, and put a beating on anybody who lined up next to me.
Lee goes through, first lap.
That's how we do it! That's how we do it, boy!
Yeah, that was how it's supposed to go.
The issue we have here is that was qualifying. When it came time for the second round of eliminations, I was on the receiving end of a good old-fashioned 8th mile dragging.
So after I got drugged down Woodward in front of thousands of people, I got left with a bit of a racing itch. An itch that I was able to scratch after I got a call from Herman asking me if I wanted to buy the car he dubbed Silverback. He had a Demon 170 on the way. He offered this thing up and, well, clearly I said yes. Now, it's not really a secret that I already have way too many Mopar projects of my own, but Herman offered me such a smoking deal on this car at 25 grand, I just couldn't say no. The parts in this thing alone are probably worth more like 40, so from a financial standpoint, it was a fantastic buy. But from a race car standpoint, that's where things get a little tricky. When I raced the car in Detroit, all I did was drive. Meaning setup-wise, build-wise, I know practically nothing about this car. Which for me is a really weird place to be, and I do far more building than I do racing. In fact, I've never really bought a pre-built car before. The cherry on top here is that tomorrow morning's our first race, so we have to figure this car out, like, now. You know anything about race cars?
Nothing. Zero.
I guess it makes the most sense here to try to start with the most simple part of the car, which on this one is under the hood. Okay, so there's probably something else I should explain here. The car is still an active piece of trash. The fender, I mean, we can tell this came from a salvage auction, right? This side is, yeah, it's just in general not a nice car is basically what I'm getting at here. Under here,
I see a 2JZ. No.
This is not a 2JZ. This is a Hellcat Redeye motor. In fact, one that has like, I don't know, 250 miles on it. This was given to Herman brand new from Dodge. He did a little bit of work to it though. Obviously he had to get it race ready. Now where do we start? I guess with the crank pulley. On the bottom we have a 10% larger crank pulley. It gives you a little more boost. We have a 2.85 upper pulley. I don't know exactly how much boost this thing's running. I guess we'll see it in the logs tomorrow. The obvious thing here is it has a nitrous outlet kit. We got 4 fuel rails, aftermarket injectors, a fuel pressure regulator. In fact, the fuel system on this car alone is worth a ton of money. It's way overbuilt, and realistically, it'll handle anything we ever want to throw at it. We've got a catch can. Ironically, we do still have a stock radiator and stock radiator fans. Aftermarket headers that are made by, I can't see. I guess we'll figure that part out once we get this car on the lift for the first time, which is something that I've genuinely not done since I bought it. In fact, the only thing I have done to this car is steal a few parts off it. When it showed up, it had a carbon fiber leg maker intake on it, which I stole from my Demon Swap truck. We had to buy another one, and it came just in time. Not that running an open throttle body is much better than this, but hey, at least it looks proper. I think we can technically now call this built, not bought, right, Fernando?
Nah.
I mean, oh yeah, there we go. Hashtag built, not bought. I do think that's about the extent of the engine work. The car is super fast, it makes great power, but the long block from top to bottom, as far as I know, is bone stock. The suspension though, this is anything but stock. Up front we have RC Comp skinnies, Willwood brakes with brake rotors that are roughly the size of motorcycle rotors. The upright, that's a billet part. We'll see a little more of that once we get it in the air. On the rear we have these massive custom engraved Demonology 15-inch RC Comp wheels. We got BMR brakes. Once again, we'll see a little more of that once we get it in the air. And then there's the trunk. This has all the right junk in the trunk, if you will. 2 fat nitrous bottles, a fuel cell, an ice tank, and a battery, which is, by comparison, the boring part of what's in the trunk. From the sump on the tank, we go over here to a Holley brushless VR2 fuel pump. This will flow, again, all the fuel we'd ever want. This car could, if we really wanted to push it, make a ton more power. The nitrous bottles, honestly, I don't know if these are full. We're gonna have to check, which I'm new to nitrous, but I believe, yeah, you can do by weight. This one feels heavy. There's gotta be something in this one. A few other really cool things they did in the trunk. This ice tank, which I don't know if this is full either. I guess we're about to find out. All right, we got something in there. If we flip this valve, it drains right out the bottom of the car into a pan. Of course, we're not gonna drain coolant onto the ground, but they built this car without a heat exchanger, meaning it's not gonna stay cool for long, and the only way we have to cool it is dumping a ton of ice in there.
You want a coal mine?
Yeah, come on the scale, let's go. What do we got? 20 pounds, that is, well, if the cylinder's only 13.9, that's 20. We got some gas in there. Actually, probably a lot of gas. We're close to full. Let's see the other one. This one's definitely the heavier one. 21.6. I don't know. I think we're good to race tomorrow.
How many shots?
All of them. All that we need. How many rounds are we gonna go? I was fully prepared to have to drive like 30 minutes away and have those filled today. Thankfully, Herman left us just a little bit of juice. When I said I've never used nitrous before, what I meant to say was I've never set up nitrous before. I used it when I drove this car. That's the extent of my nitrous experience. So we're gonna figure this out together, you and I, and Fernando, and anybody else here at the shop we need if we can't figure it out. That's a nice bracket. This is a really nice bracket.
Is it going in the right direction right now?
We'll figure that out in just a second, Fernando. Calm down. No, it was not going in the right direction. All right, now it is. Now it is. All right, I assume if this is like every other fill canister, that this on the front, being that it's going through the floorboard of the car, is some type of vent in case they get too hot so they don't go all fast and furious.
Why in the movie they say El litro and boom, explode the eclipse?
They didn't say that in the version I watched.
Well, I watched the Spanish version, and people who actually watch in Spanish is gonna be agree with me.
El litro?
El litro!
El
And then
litro!
boom!
El litro! Once again, I have to say I'm a complete nitrous newbie, but I always assumed that on nitrous bottles there was a mechanical gauge. I'm gonna guess though that this is the pressure sensor and it reads into Holley. Which I suppose now is probably the perfect time to talk about it. The car's ran on Holley Dominator. The car's wired from scratch. It's got a custom relay / fuse panel. The car is really bare bones. It has a steering wheel. I don't know if we can even call this a dashboard. It's a carbon shell. Yeah, a carbon shell that sits over a steel bar. It does have a massive Holley 12-inch screen, a custom steering rack, one race equipped seat, which I have to add, it's really comfortable. Harness bar, it's definitely not a roll bar. Our master switch panels up top, which I actually can recall how to start and drive this car. We got starter, ignition, fuel pump, engine fan, water pump. Yeah, you guys see the rest. And then there's a bunch of nitro stuff, which I do have to refigure out. Otherwise, there's really not much going on in here. All the fuel lines are ran through the car. It is as bare bones and probably as light as a Dodge Charger's ever gonna get. There you go.
First,
Yep.
second, neutral.
Correcto. One other thing that's really cool that I'd never used before Roadkill Nights, this. It has an air shifter. That means when we're in first gear and we hit a certain RPM, the Holley Dominator will send a signal to this valve. It'll open up, it'll give the shifter a shot of CO2 and automatically kick it to second gear. Which, as evidenced by the shifter, is second gear out of only 2. It has a crazy built power glide in it. It does rule out any type of real street use, but it's awesome for drag racing. Yeah, I don't think it was supposed to do that. I don't see where that came from. When I turn the bottle on, okay, yeah. So CO2 is shooting out of that little hole. This is just a basic regulator, so...
You called the expert?
Where's all that?
Oh, you know, I replaced him today. This is what you get when you call the expert. We're going to bill you a couple $100 an hour and tighten it up for you.
That sounds about right. Let's see. Huh. Imagine that. It's funny how things work when they're tight. Given my air shifter ignorance here, I also really don't know what pressure we're supposed to set it at. 100 pounds sound good? Roughly, more or less?
All the pressure.
So according to a forum post from 2005,
90 psi?
90?
95?
I'll do 100 to be safe.
Okay.
One thing that I know is tight though, because I tightened it, the bottle. Oh yeah, there we go. There's always been something I've wanted to do.
Wow!
I feel like I'm in Too Fast, Too Furious right now. It's so awesome. We do have to do it one more time to drain the lines, but so good. Yeah, I can only imagine having to go fill a bottle because we played with the purge too long. We're not gonna do that. As for what kind of gas a car like this uses, ethanol 1R. Most of my cars run on E85, 85% ethanol. This is a racing blend that you can't get at the pumps. I believe it's like 90% ethanol. Unfortunately, where the fuel cell is mounted in this car, I don't have a funnel big enough to dump straight from the can, so we have to go from can to VP jug with a spout to the fuel cell. I don't think there's a better feeling, and I'm sure a lot of you guys will back me up on this, than the smell of race gas, or in this case ethanol, on like a 70-degree nice spring day. You know you're going racing tomorrow. Does it get better than that? Got gas. If I could only close the fuel cell. There we go. There we go. About that time. Now we're getting to the part that I'm actually familiar with in this car. Switch panel on, ignition, fuel pump. That is loud, isn't it? That's an incredibly loud fuel pump. So you want to build a race car. The first thing you need, well, a car. And sure, you can battle it out trying to buy one on all the typical marketplaces, or you can do what I did with this one.
We took this one out of a Copart in Texas and handed it off to Bailey's, and they killed it.
That's right, Copart. We drug this thing out of the salvage auction, slapped a couple fenders on it, and had the perfect starting point for our race car project. Now, when you're ready to find your new race car chassis, the first thing you're gonna need is a Copart membership. They have a basic membership for $99 for occasional buyers. They also have a premier membership for $249 if you're planning on buying a lot of cars like we do here. After you sign up for a membership, then you just need to upload a couple legally required documents, which you can do right from your smartphone. And once they're approved, you're ready to start searching for vehicles to bid on and hopefully win. Now it's auction time. This is when the real fun starts. And with Copart, there's a ton of different ways to bid on and buy your car at auction. You can place a pre-bid days or even weeks before the car runs at auction. You can attend the live auction, which is clearly the most fun way to buy cars, and it's how we bought this thing. Or if you're really impatient or you just have to have that salvage car now, you can click buy it now. Whatever method you use to get your new car, once you've won it, you just have to pay for it and pick it up. It's that simple. They also work with third-party tow providers, meaning you can book transport from the Copart lot directly to your doorstep right on Copart.com. So whether you're looking to build a race car, pick up a new daily driver, or you just need a pile of parts like this car, Copart has it all. And don't forget, when you're ready to sign up for your membership, use code ScrapLife20 at the link in the description, save 20%, and put that money towards your new project car. Funny though, for as loud as this thing is, the engine's quiet. The problem is like, if you blow it up, you're gonna hear it. Oh, I think we'll know. If we blow it up, I think we'll know. One other thing that I really have to compliment on this car is the Holley dashboard. It's 12 inches. It's awesome. It makes this car really easy to drive. Before we get to tuning, if you will, we'll take it for a little lap around the business park, get her warmed up, get the trans up to temp. Deafening loud. Oh, there's no power steering, in case you couldn't tell. I think she's warm enough now, right? Yeah. Yeah, 170 degrees. When I raced this thing last time, I left off the foot brake. Meaning I held my left foot on the brake, right foot on the gas. Again, after a quick nap. This time though, the trans brake set up, we might, depending on track conditions, go off the trans brake. Meaning while we're in first gear, we can hold this button in, we don't have to have our foot on the brake, we can hit the gas. We'll get the power washer, we'll take care of that. One thing that I noticed was really cool from outside the car, these billet uprights. I don't know exactly the point of those. I don't know if they're just supposed to be lighter, which doesn't really make a ton of sense. Maybe they're specifically for these brakes. I don't know. Either way, they look awesome. I'm sure they weren't cheap. The shock is by Wesley, it looks like. and it mounts to a universal plate up top. You don't have any adjustability in the engine bay. We got a Flaming River manual rack, and I'm not a huge fan of manual steering, but with the skinnies and with a true manual rack, it's not horrible. The trans is filthy, really filthy. This is a new build too, so I don't know why it's leaking like that. We may have to look into that at some point. There's our converter, our flex plate, and this really, really tiny, almost comically small Power Glide transmission. The diff, just like the trans, ironically, is leaking a little bit. We will also have to take care of that. But it's a billet 9-inch rear. It's made to fit into the stock subframe. It has 411 gears. And this, just like the fuel system and the trans and a lot of other stuff with this car, should take everything we can throw at it. The rear suspension on this car is just as wild as the front. We have all kinds of aftermarket arms back here. One more thing that's really crazy, unless you're familiar with drag cars or trying to fit the biggest possible wheels onto a car that probably wasn't made for it, is how close they come to everything. That's not bad. That, I can barely fit half of a finger in there that way. I think we finally got a good grasp on what we bought here. Sure, it needs a little servicing, but I couldn't be happier. There's so much more to figure out with this car. Not only with the setup, the maintenance, but taking it to the track and trying to run it competitively, that's a whole different ball game. I think that'll come with time and hopefully not, but probably breaking some stuff too. What do you think we're gonna run this weekend?
I think probably, definitely under 10s, right?
Yes, clearly under 10s. If it doesn't go under 10, something's wrong.
With you with the car.
Anyway, I've never ran the car down the quarter mile. I've only done the 8th. I have no clue what it's gonna run, but let's go find out.
All right, race car man. How is your expectation?
Tight. They're very tight, okay? I'm not gonna sit down until I get in the car. I'm not gonna let you guys watch me do it, all right? Turn around. We got a famous guy behind us.
Oh, no. No famous guy here. I just came to check out the Silverback. What are your thoughts, brother?
Fun, fast.
So
I'm not sleeping this time, hopefully.
Oh, yeah. So he's referring to Roadkill Nights.
Yeah, they know already. We went over that, unfortunately.
Well,
You failed.
today you got an opportunity to redeem
Yes,
yourself, brother.
redemption.
There'll be a lot of fast cars here today. This is definitely one of them.
Talk and distract them while I slither into this car.
I think you're actually gonna have trouble keeping this thing out of the 8th, to be honest, because Herman always ran this car in Texas, where the conditions were not favorable.
Well, we'll do it without spray first.
Oh, no spray. Yeah. Okay. So without spray, I'm thinking low 9s, low 9.3, somewhere around there.
About to find out.
Have fun.
All right, so no nitrous, no ice, sitting in the staging lane for a long time first. 922, 147. That's kind of where we want to be. Hopefully with the nitrous, we can get to right at bottom 9s, 9.0. See, up top though, we did get a little bit of coolant smell. And by a little bit, I mean a lot. I'm guessing it just dumped out of this. No, it's dry, so it's not that. Maybe it's just, we filled it yesterday, so stuff leaked. It's probably that. Hopefully.
It's full.
It felt good. Running it to the quarter mile, it stopped perfectly fine, which was a concern of mine. We already talked about how small these brakes are. They don't feel bad at all, though. I'm sure they're smoking hot. This car does have a provision for a parachute, but the cabling, the handle inside, none of that stuff set up. I've only raced this in the 8th mile. It was easy to stop there. It still felt really good slowing down from 147. It felt as safe as a 2010 Dodge Charger can possibly feel. We gotta try this again. It's time for qualifying. We're gonna do nitrous on this time. It's getting iced. We're giving it all it has.
All right, next up we have Lacey Park.
was a solid race.
It felt really good. We did everything we needed to do. We picked up 4 miles an hour. Honestly, I thought we'd pick up a little more on the nitrous though. We only got 1/10. This is probably never a good sign, right? So both runs, the second one far more than the last one, smelled coolant. Check the engine bay, there's not a drop anywhere. The trunk's full of coolant, the fuel pump's covered in coolant. Turns out our ice box, it cracked all the way along this top weld. We looked back through the video and saw that when Dalt was putting ice in it before the last pass, it was cracked in too. So I guess that explains it. The good news here though, Flow Supply, they're awesome. They'll take care of it. We used a ton of stuff of theirs over the years. And two, probably most importantly for this current situation, it's not pressurized. So we can wipe it off with this here t-shirt and then we'll fix it with a lot of duct tape. That closed the gap. Now we're just gonna cover the rest of it and cross our fingers. Oh yeah, there we go. We got like 7 layers on there. Now back to the good. The car ran awesome, 9-1. We should be qualified near the top of the class. We're not gonna go make another qualifying pass. I guess now we just see who we're paired up against. What do you think?
It was pretty solid. Honestly, your pass was impressive. I like the response. We should be winning.
Don't lose to no battery, baby.
What's that?
Don't lose to a battery.
Tell you.
So reaction best of the day, trap speed same as the best of the day, 60 foot better than last time. The car just went 2/10 slower. I don't know why, but losing to a Tesla, man, that's rough.
Man, we got highest expectation on that race.
It might have been not cool enough. It might have been too hot. Maybe it should have both ice.
It looked like he was like spinning a little bit first. Like
So
it looked like it was walking
it did.
a little bit.
Well, clearly that didn't go as expected. Now, after talking to some people who know a lot more about drag racing than I do, I think we figured out why we had a great 60, a decent trap speed, and a way worse ET. When we first left off the trans brake, I think the car squatted hard enough that we were able to 60 foot, but as soon as the suspension unloaded, and you can kind of see it in the video, the car started skating to the right and it was just spinning. Now with the slicks, it's not gonna be the same type of spinning you do on the street where you're just having a smoke show with your drag radials or street tires. It was still moving, and it was still moving pretty fast, just not quite fast enough to beat a Plaid, which is, yeah. I'm still salty about it, obviously.
You already ordered a Plaid, right?
Stop it.
I mean, that driver was with AC, drinking a Starbucks, music, and he beat you.
He can drive his home, he has power steering. Yeah, the list goes on and on. It is kind of a weird feeling to show up in a car like this, which by any metric is a full-blown race car, and get gapped by a Tesla.
Yeah.
If you're competitive, losing, it sucks no matter what, but we can't ignore the fact that we got a brand new race car off the trailer. I haven't ran the car in 6 months plus. We did multiple low 9-second passes, drove it back on the trailer. It's here at the shop, it's still in one piece, it runs. There's a lot of good here as well. You want to say that again? I didn't catch that. You know, I'm not even mad. I'm not mad, I'm just disappointed.
I think your soul gets snatched from a Tesla. It sucks because it's true. That guy, I guarantee you that enjoyed that moment so much.
Anyway, as for what's next with this car, it's gonna get some big changes. When I bought this, my plan was never to drive it in this configuration for that long. I just wanted to try it out one more time because I really enjoy it. I do have a plan for it. I'm super excited about it. We just have to make sure, at all costs, under no circumstances, can we lose to another Tesla.
Yeah, you gotta keep your soul.
Can you do like a simulation
Oh, what?
of what you're gonna do right now?
Oh, well, it's time to go. Oh, that Viper's way down the track. That's what we're gonna do, all right?
That doesn't look like a race car part, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it looks like something you put on your uncle's truck in his backyard, right?
Definitely.